Hello and welcome to a Trese episode of Project Sage. I managed to get my hands on this one, an Italian version of the first Trese Volume, Murder in Balete Drive. So let's do an initial comparison of it with this one, the Avenida edition of Trese. Initially, you could see that the Italian version has a smaller trim compared to this one, but the content should be the same if compared to the Ablaze edition, because the Ablaze or International edition, because they're supposed to have the same content, especially this one, because it cites inside that it got the content from the Ablaze edition, and this one is also based on the Ablaze edition, but it has some subtle difference too. But for now, we'll be focusing on this, and it's published by Star Comics, and based on my limited research, Star Comics is a major manga publisher in Japan, in Italy, bringing in Japanese manga and translate them into Italian for Italy in Europe. So enough about that. Let's do a deep dive on this one. Okay, looking at the whole package of this book, without a doubt, this was packaged as a manga. First off, it has this OB or slash ribbon. Usually an OB will have some extra like extra information. This one says like that it's an anime series on Netflix, like this one. And this is fairly common in Japanese releases of manga and other books. So first off, it has an OB. And then the foil cover is actually a dust jacket, similar again to manga releases, because underneath you have the classic monochrome Trese cover, similar to the one we have for the Avenida version. Party in the front, classic in the back, party in the front, classic in the back. Let's remove this foil cover. See this one? This is actually this book jacket art is the same as this one. This is the first colorized edition of Trese, and this was originally published by Visprint. As you can see, they're virtually the same, except this comes in foil. And as a child of 90s comics, starting my own collection in the 90s, foil or other comic gimmicks will bring me to the door. Okay, let's continue. See, they're virtually the same as the Avenida edition. Well, except for the language, and there's a different logo for the publisher. So yeah, the first few pages are nicely copied. So this is the frontispiece or the chapter cover. Now let's look at this one. The character portrait or the author portraits are the same, but in the Italian edition they actually colorize it. It's the same illustration but in color. Okay, so this appears, the first three editions are in color. There, first few pages. Let's compare that to the first ever Trese Color Edition. If you notice, there are subtle differences because this version as well as the Avenida version are actually based on a much more newer and revised edition. This one is the more original version, but they're practically the same except some subtle differences, like for example the wires, the aerial wires, they're placed differently, and this is much more modern coloring as compared to the one in this one. It's much more sepia toned. Okay, that's it. Let's go back to the Avenida edition. The thing with color, that color is pretty nice, but if you compare it, a lot of the fine details of the pencil art of the artist is actually washed out by the color, which is a shame because Keiichi actually went crazy in the detail in the color, but when it in the pencils in tones, but when it came to the color, a lot of it is covered, but it works. So it's kind of preferences. Maybe if they get a different colorist who's able to respect more of Keiichi's lines, maybe the color will work. Another difference is, if you haven't noticed, is the trim, right? As you can see, in order for this to match a B5 trim, and remember that B5 because that's important, they cut some of the bottom part to trim it out. See, look at the shoulder. This is somewhat, you see much of a Trese's shoulder than this one, all so that this could fit as a B5 trim. Now now let's go over the contents, at least for the first chapter. With this one, they actually include some context clues, references to, because for example, this ritual, they actually copied it like verbatim. This is the exact, the Tagalog terms for magic, for rituals, they copied it verbatim, preserve the charm and the context. See, still the same. Tabi-tabi po.
Tabi-tabi po.
Kumusta ka na, munting Trese?
Magandang gabi, Nuno.
Let's go over. You see a lot of the editor's clues for context. Editor's clues. They use the term kambal, which literally means twins, but kambal is kambal. Nice. This story was actually adapted in the anime series, but it tells a different story though. This is another Tagalog term, testigo. Flashback. Okay. Yeah, it has this diary entries of, let me see, Alexander. They use Professor Alexander Trese, but wouldn't that be Anton Trese? I think this is supposed to be Anton Trese. The Avenida edition does not have those diary entries, but this one and the Ablaze edition does, because that's actually an exclusive, I think, for Ablaze. And that's it for the Italian Trese edition. Should you add it for your collection? If you already have the Ablaze edition and the Avenida edition, in order to get the story, it's not necessary for you to add. But if you're I didn't notice this back cover of Trese. But if you're a completist like me and you like foil covered comics like me, this is a good addition for your collection. And if you do have European friends, you could send them to this one. At least your Italian speaking friends, send them to this one. Suggest this to them to get them interested in Trese. Now for part 2. Okay, as I said earlier, this is, remember that this is a B5 cream for a manga tank. And since it's a B5 cream, it means that you could use the B5 size of the Booker-kun manga sleeves. So for the bonus, I'm gonna show you how to cover it with using Booker-kun. Really easy. Just slide it here. The free sleeve first. Just gonna show you how. Easy peasy. There we go. Your Trese one in your Booker-kun. That's it for this episode of Project Sage. Follow, subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't, and our social media accounts in Twitter and Facebook. If you want to, it's optional, but do continue to support us. Every view, every like, every comment helps support this channel, this small channel, and growing it so that we could achieve our goals. And that's one of our goals, is to bring quality Trese content to the internet, because the world deserves more quality Trese content. And that's it for this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.